What is a RAG and why is it so important? So, first of all, RAG stands for Retrieval-Augmented Generation, and you probably heard about this definition many times in the last few months if you're in the AI game. Now, if I had to simplify what is a RAG, it's basically providing a knowledge base to the LLMs that you're working with in order to generate more accurate results. Now, you probably encountered the issue with LLMs, whether you're using a local LLM or ChatGPT or whatever LLM that you're using or Llama. Some of the data is out of date because if there is new data coming into the world and ChatGPT isn't trained on that data, so you get responses that are out of date. And the other problem is the responses that you get or don't have any sources, so you can't tell if they are true or not. It might be just nonsense that the LLM is spitting out, but it does so in such high confidence, it makes you think that this is true or correct, and this kind of sucks, and it can create a lot of problems and issues if you're trying to rely on this data. Basically, the LLM gives you answers from the top of its head and not necessarily based on sources or based on the most updated data, because it just predicts what is the most likely response that it should give you based on all the data that it has been trained on, and it spits out that response. So in order to mitigate these hallucinations, sometimes they are called hallucinations, when ChatGPT or other LLMs just give you what seems like nonsense, or even if it seems correct, it is still not true. You can do a few things. First of all, at the prompt level, you can give the LLM a way out. What that means is basically you ask something specific and then you say, if you don't know, just let me know that you don't know. So for example, I can ask ChatGPT, what is Autogen? If you don't know what is Autogen, if you're not sure what is Autogen, please respond, I am not sure. So giving the LLM a way out. This is something that you can do in order to improve the output that you are getting. And this can be done in the prompt level. Beyond doing this at the prompt level, you should also use the mechanism of retrieval of the RAG, of Retrieval-Augmented Generation, which basically you give the LLM a knowledge base, then you write the prompt or the query, then this query is sent to the knowledge base. You're checking, the LLM checks if there's any relevant data in that knowledge base, and if the data from the knowledge base is relevant, the results that you're going to get, the output is going to be more accurate, or at least based on this knowledge base. So the pros of this are, first of all, it's improved accuracy, assuming that you added a correct knowledge base that is relevant to what you're trying to build. The responses are more accurate, as I said. It gives you a lot of flexibility since it's not limited to the knowledge that it was trained on, which sometimes lacks knowledge because it's not updated or mainly not updated, to be honest. And it is more dynamic, it's more adaptable to new information or recent developments. So it's kind of the same. So you get up-to-date data and with more references and resources, which is more like you have the sources for the data, so you can be more sure that this data isn't just bullshit. Now, one of the reasons I find it so important is the fact that if you're trying to build stuff that the responses are very important to you and you have to get them right, operating with no knowledge base can be, I wouldn't say dangerous, but it can harm your results. And this idea, I encountered this challenge the other day when I was building an automation in Power Automate Desktop, and whenever I build automations in Power Automate Desktop and I encounter a challenge, what I used to do in the past is go to the Power Automate forums, go to search in Google, look for an answer. It used to take me hours. And now what I do, I just go to ChatGPT. I tell the chat that I'm using Power Automate. I copy the error and I prompt it to give me an advice. But many times, and this happened the other day, it gives me inaccurate advice. So I asked it, how can I send two keys into Power Automate? So basically, press Control and F4 simultaneously, and it gave me what seemed to make sense, but actually it was incorrect. And then the automation didn't work as I expected. So I kind of started digging in, and I went to the knowledge base of Power Automate Desktop, and I saw that the advice was not accurate. So basically, he told me to do X, and I had to do Y because it just made up what I need to do in order to send the control and F4. So this made me realize, and it happened to me many times, that the data that I was getting from the chat was inaccurate, mainly when I'm trying to automate stuff or use new libraries. So I kind of understood that I must have knowledge base which is updated, and I must not rely on the knowledge that ChatGPT has. So I started working with, scraping links or browsing the internet, giving ChatGPT the ability to browse the web. But I also felt that it was many times not accurate. So now what I do, whenever I can, and I'm building something that is important and is technical and is often being updated, I try to download the PDF of the tools that I'm using. So let's say I have issues with Conda. So I'm going to go to Conda and download the PDF of like the documentation of Conda. Same goes with Power Automate. I downloaded the documentation of Power Automate and added it as a knowledge base. Now I want to show you a short example of why is this important. And for the sake of the example, I asked ChatGPT before, what is Autogen? So what is Autogen? And this was the response. Autogen generally refers to a process or tool that automatically generates content, code, or other outputs based on specific input or parameters. It's commonly used in programming and software development to create code, configurations, or data structure automatically, reducing manual effort and potential for errors. And it's almost, it is somewhat correct, but you can see, if you know what Autogen really does, you can see it is mostly probably making it up. So what I did instead is I added the repository. I downloaded the whole repository of Autogen from GitHub, and I added it to ChatGPT as a knowledge base. Now, still I had to do a few iterations because it didn't know how to scan the whole repository, until I uploaded the README file. And the README file, in this case, is the knowledge base. This is the README file specifically of Autogen, and this was the response that I got. The README file for Autogen provides a clear definition of the project. Autogen is a framework that enables the development of applications using LLMs. It focuses on creating systems where multiple agents can converse with each other to solve tasks. And then it elaborates about the key features and the framework, etc. Never mind, I'm sure that you know what is Autogen. But the point of this example is to show you how ChatGPT seems so confident regarding a query, a prompt that I asked. Yet this is almost completely not correct. But after I just went ahead and uploaded a knowledge base, this completely changed the game, and now ChatGPT gave me the corrected answer, which is updated and accurate. So this is why I encourage you, whenever you can, and you're building something that is important and you need to be sure about the data, and assuming that the data is often updated. I'm not talking about something like historical or something like this, because then ChatGPT should be able to get the job done correctly because it isn't updated. But mostly when you're building based on code, this stuff often is being updated. So you need to upload knowledge bases that are most updated. So I make it a point whenever I can to either go to the documentation of what I'm trying to build and download it and then re-uploading it as a knowledge base, or the alternative is to use a different tool which is called Perplexity, which I don't know if you heard about, but it is amazing tool that it has different abilities than ChatGPT. Where this shines is mainly the fact that it keeps on being updated because it has great searching abilities. So let's do an example. What is Autogen? Now, if it is being updated, it should give us a response that is quite similar to the README, to what ChatGPT wrote to us after reading the README file. We hit the play button, search, and this is the response. Autogen is a framework designed for the development of applications using multiple agents that can converse with each other to solve tasks. And it also gives you references. You see GitHub, and this is also the blog post of Autogen. Autogen simplifies the orchestration, automation, optimization of complex LLMs. And we have another source. You see all of these are sources. It's the same source here because you see it's the same number 3, and let's go to source number 4. So what is nice in Perplexity, which is something that I also work with, especially when I don't need much creativity but more fact checking, is the fact that it gives you the resources and it's being updating all the time. And you also have here like related questions. How does Autogen simplify the creation and maintenance of programs? So it explains how can I install. Okay, so as you can see, in opposing to ChatGPT, it actually gives you up-to-date installation advice and guidelines. So set up the project environment, install Autogen. If you want, you can use the pip or the conda. It also discusses the Docker. Did it mention the Docker? Yes. When not using a Docker container, it is recommended to use a virtual environment. That is amazing. Can you guide me step by step? Here, it also gives you like the code. So basically, and here you have different alternatives with YouTube videos, references, how to install Autogen on your local computer, Autogen installation documentation, how to install Autogen on your computer, another YouTube. So this is such a powerful tool. I am assuming that many of you know it, but for those of you who don't, this is why I created the video, to be honest. So yeah, let's start wrapping things up. The goal for today, for this somewhat short video, was to discuss the importance of working with knowledge bases and RAGs, because you must have data that is up to date and also accurate and also has sources to back the data up and not just hallucinating. So as much as ChatGPT is amazing for creative work and for writing code, it doesn't give us updated data. So if we are building something that is time sensitive, not from the perspective that it is urgent for us to complete, but from the perspective that it has new data updated data that has to be taken into account, just using ChatGPT isn't enough. We need to provide the knowledge base, or we must utilize tools such as Perplexity to assist us with getting up-to-date data. That's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any comments, obviously leave them in the comment section. Like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe, share it with your friends, you know, the usual stuff. Yeah, and that's it again. Until next time, I wish you a lovely evening or lovely day, whatever, and keep on automating.